Hello, it is Wednesday. I actually just sent a voicemail to someone. I'm like, happy Tuesday. So already it's been one of those days. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Women That Shred. And today's guest is Tobi Libbra. Hello, Tobi.
Hello, friend.
Now, Tobi, you and we connected quite some time ago. Like how many years ago through LinkedIn?
I was trying to think of this last night.
Yeah.
It's over 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've had several phone conversations. We've never actually met in person.
We have
so
never
you and I have already built a friendship, which is cool that we got to get to reconnect. It's been a while since we've spoken.
Yeah.
So I love how like all my conversations are like just live. Everybody gets to see.
We don't get to girl talk much unless it's behind a camera.
Live. So this is really great. But Tobi, so you also said this was perfect timing because you just started a new job. And I think
did.
Week is your first day or your first week?
Monday was my first day. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm day 3. I am up at our corporate headquarters in the big town of Sheridan, Arkansas. Sarcasm.
Sorry.
Sarcasm. We're about 35 minutes from Little Rock.
Okay.
I still live in Gulf Shores, so I work remote, but my first week I am here at the headquarters, and it is fabulous.
I mean, that's so cool. I mean,
yeah.
Right? Third day. And so we obviously wanted to talk about dealing with change because you're obviously dealing with it with a new job, and I'm dealing with it in a whole nother level.
Yours is a little bigger than mine.
Yeah. I'm taking it to a whole nother level, like literally, starting kind of my life all over again, moving out to San Diego from Virginia, and my daughter's going to college. I'm technically an empty nester, moving in with my mom, which is going to be kind of a change after 13 years of living like literally by myself.
Right.
So yeah, a lot. So for me, I actually now at my age, I embrace it. Like I'm all for it because I feel like it's so exciting not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, for you, I feel like you and I have a lot of the, similar personality. We were talking about that where
we're chaos dwellers.
Yeah. And so you're like, yeah, the chaos, you love to sit in it.
And I guess it's personality trait, but exactly that is if things are calm, I'm panicking.
Yeah. No,
I think part of it is this industry. Part of it is a mom of twins. Now an empty nester, technically.
I was say how the boys, they're off. They went to college last year.
They are at University of Alabama 2 years. This is their 3rd year.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, that's constant change because everybody's gone and then everybody comes back home and then everybody's gone again. Yeah. And so it's wild. My husband and I have been married almost 26 years. So we had to figure out a whole new life again. Okay. Everything revolves around mom and career. And now there's like, oh, hey, you live here. That's right.
You're like, oh yeah, we're partners.
I forgot about you.
Yeah.
It's, but you're right. My most favorite saying, I have it plastered on my little chalkboard at my home office, is change is scarier, but do you know what's scarier? Regret.
I like
tried really hard to look at the fears of it as a challenge. I'm a challenged person. Yeah. So if you challenge me that's going to be scary, I'm making it not scary. Not that I don't go in the bathroom and like go, what are you doing? But outwardly, I think it's contagious. Yeah. Courage and facing change is contagious. And I believe when we have a platform where people are watching us or listening to us, we have to show that. I've been a national speaker all over with cybersecurity and
I know
mortgage,
you speak all
women
over
in
at conferences.
people
Yeah.
say to me all the time, "Oh my gosh, I just couldn't get up on stage. Never look scared. It's always normal." I'm like, "Are you Listen, I am walking upstairs to a stage going, I'm going to trip on the microphone. Is my dress unzipped? Do I have something in my teeth? I'm going to fall on my face. What if they ask me something?"
Really? So that's what you're thinking as you're going on stage. You're not like,
every
you got this, Tobi, you're going to kill it. You're the opposite. Like,
No.
oh my
I'm
gosh.
telling you every single time. That never changes, but I think it's fuel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But as you're describing it, I realize that that is the same thing for me. Like now, any kind of obstacle or any change or any mishap or any failure or anything like that, I just see it as like, this is going to be another part of like my cool story, where before, like, I didn't realize, your life is a story and it's a journey. And, we have platforms now where we can share that, where before I just didn't look at it that way. And now I'm like, oh, right, here's another thing that I can go ahead and talk about and maybe be vulnerable about and maybe help others and inspire others and, just have others realize like they're not alone in this type of situation. So like right now,
really
with all
been
this
my goal.
yeah, like all this chaos and overwhelming, I'm like, no, this is great because I'm learning so many lessons. It's only going to, make me stronger. It's only going to, help me in so many different ways. So yeah, like I crave it now.
Because the day I'm going on not nervous, the day I'm going behind a camera or on a stage or talking to a sales team or doing anything like that, the day I'm not nervous and it's blasé, something's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
I need to be fired up for them. And if I'm not feeding that, it's not their job to feed me, to feed them. Does that make sense?
So let me ask you this, because obviously it is a lot of energy, doing that. So are you the type of person where after, hey, Gabe, after an event or when you speak, do you have to go and just kind of, are you that like true introvert where you have to go by yourself and just kind of regroup? Or do you just keep going and going and going until you literally like just crash?
I literally had this conversation with my best friend last week.
Oh, really?
I know all these people that do a lot of things out in the open say, "Oh, I'm actually an introvert." I'm not. I'm not. Okay. I am like, people fuel me. I go home and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. Who should I call? I need to see if they're having a good week. And this shit. Now, I will tell you, when you're on like speaking circuit, conference season, things like that, there are times when everybody's like, we're going out for drinks. There were all the speakers are meeting. I'm like, I got to go to my room. Okay. And it's really just to get my head around. I will follow up. If you ask me a question, whether that's me going in to talk to a sales team of a company or I'm doing a presentation or anything like this, I'm going to follow up with you. Even if we answer your question, I want to know that it helped. So in the next week, I'm going to reach out and I don't have anybody else do that. I do it myself. Because I think the day that we become disconnected or believe our own hype is the day we fail.
Yeah, I think
I have to go in my head and my heart. I answered you. It helped. And if it didn't, let's find a different answer.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fantastic, because a lot of times, there are people out there that kind of, the speakers, motivators, influencers, they get there on stage, they do their thing, and then they're like done. And they're like, I'm out. Like, I did my thing. I was, I made my presence, and then they just kind of disconnect from everybody. And I'm kind of the opposite, like you are, where I love, answering the DMs. I love kind of taking the relationships offline. And, it is a lot of time and energy to do that, but that's where you have that true connection and you build those true relationships. And I think that's really key as well. Like, I think people get to a level where suddenly, they talk about how lonely they are and they don't really have like an inner circle, and they just kind of do their thing and then they're just by themselves. And I don't want to ever be that person. Like, I want to always feel like, my feet
I get in my own head too much if I'm by myself very much.
That too. Yeah, that happens as well.
Imposter syndrome. So,
Yeah.
it's something I think I have learned to control and maintain more than I did in my younger years. I think that's just age. And listen, things are gonna blow up.
Yeah.
There is no getting around. There is one constant in life, and that is things are going to change.
Yeah,
And some
I
of
know.
those changes are going to blow up, and some of them are going to set you on the exact track of your life that you're supposed to be on. So, no, it happened after 40, giving away my age, but it happened a few years ago. It did. I can pinpoint when it happened that I started to embrace change because you're not fighting it.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's amazing how many people fight it. They really do fight it, right? And I always try to understand why they're fighting it. Like I get why, but at the same time, I want to be like, yes, but this is like an opportunity for something that could be like even better, right? Because I think a lot of people don't want the change because they feel like they already have it. They have a good thing going. That's how I kind of feel like that just means like, yeah, the unknown. And I'm like, yeah, but the unknown could be something so magical. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Like, I don't know why people look at the unknown or as something bad.
Yes.
Like, I think that is with age, because I think you live enough and you experience enough where you realize like, no.
I completely agree. And I think sometimes, especially in the finance industry, people change a lot, change positions, change companies, change the realm they're in. You're going from originations to maybe operations and vice versa. And people get really scared of what's it going to be. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
There's no magic bulb. Nobody knows. Guess what? If you go and it flops, go back.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like, it's not like set in stone. I think once again, like people think that everything that they do is somehow like, that's it. Like it's the end of the world or it's set in stone. And it's like, no, that's the beauty of it.
And it's very strange how each of those changes, whether, you thought that was your end game and it isn't, I'm kind of there at my age that, the last two things I thought were really end game. Here's the great part. I garnered so much knowledge from my experiences, great relationships, when, man, Tobi, you screwed that up. It's all of these things that make a whole. And sitting here on my third day as a seasoned VP of production at First Trust, day 3. I'm looking back in my head the last few nights on those experiences, and you have to be willing to admit where you faltered.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you can't just say, I screwed that up.
Yeah.
You got to go, how am I not going to do that this time?
Yeah.
And there's a self-awareness in that again, like going on stage, nobody wants to do it. But if you can admit fault, which I am learning slowly, it's a whole new game.
Yeah.
Because the vision is clear then.
Yeah.
We can look through rose-colored glasses and have everything blurred out that we don't want to see. It's not getting you anywhere.
No. And I like how you say, kind of admit your faults and then learn from it and just, kind of grow. Because I had that conversation this weekend when I was, oddly enough, Mike Skiba and I surprised Michael Ray, our friend down in Louisville. Yeah. So the last night I was there, Michael and I were talking about, hey, Mike, miss you already. We were talking about how, like, as humans, right, we do evolve, we change, we have our faults or mistakes. We, hopefully hold ourselves accountable for them, move forward, and and also have people understand that that's how we as humans are. And so it's not like judging people for everything they've done in their past. Like if there's things that you've done and you realize, okay, that wasn't the best choice, or maybe I made a little bit of a mistake, but I'm going to learn from it and grow, then people need to understand that, like, yeah, that's how we evolve as human beings, and not be so judgmental and not like hold you at something that you did maybe in the past. Because
Absolutely.
and it just came up because with social media,
everybody knows you're everything.
Everybody knows everything that you've done. And so what's happening is a lot of people are so scared to make a mistake and so scared to fail, so scared to do any of that because of the repercussions of what people are going to think. I'm like, yeah, but that's what makes us human. So I try to like always mention that.
Yes.
Because the more that we kind of like tell people, hey, stop judging, we're trying our best, like,
right.
I did make a mistake, like I apologize, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to do better.
Where I find it the most hard is in most of my world has been in sales. My sales leaders, like, they feel truly that they can't wobble. It's not even a fail for them. Like, I can't wobble.
That's a horrible feeling and pressure to have.
It's too much. It is too much. You're going to have a crappy day.
Yeah.
You're going to say something to somebody that you didn't mean for it to come out that way. I think when you get into more of a big sales role, you feel very much under a microscope, and you have to be perfection for the people that you are leading to be perfect. There's none of us that are getting there. We're never getting there.
Yeah.
I still do it even if I am doing a training or a sales leadership, speech. I hate to call it speech because I don't speech. I just love to talk. But listen, if they see your fault, they know it's okay.
Yeah.
And now we have this human connection that we're really all human.
Yeah.
And that all goes away. And I watch teams that embrace that just, it explodes, because now there's no race to perfection, which is not possible. You're never getting to that finish line. And I think this is one thing I talk about more than I talk about anything. It's the perfection line doesn't exist. You're not ever going to get there, meaning you're not ever going to win. So why are you setting yourself up for a losing battle? We have to embrace each other with faults and as humans, and things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But also to embrace your passion. We talked a little bit about this before we started. I just started this role with First Trust and was talking to our CEO because I still do some work with my dear, dear, dear friend in Alabama, doing investigations, which came from my cybersecurity background. And I said, do you need me to, put Ket work on hold? And he has said, it fires you up. Why would I tell you to do that? Don't be investigating any of our clients. I'm like, yeah, I get that part. But I just embrace that.
Yeah.
Like, he sees where the fire is, and that's the fuel. Yeah. And I don't get to do it as often as I want, but diving into those banking issues and policy and procedures, I am a nerd at heart.
I know, and I'm sitting there thinking like, ooh.
Yeah, I love that part. Now that's where my introvert will kick in if I'm looking at, some 80-page spreadsheet of what you're doing wrong with your cybersecurity.
I'm curious, because I haven't asked you this. Mm-hmm. How cybersecurity to what you're doing now? I mean, that's a huge change, and especially, like cybersecurity, like everybody needs that. So what's going on?
What's weird, and I admit this out loud, it's like doing what you're good at versus what you love don't always have to be the same thing. And I'm good at mortgage and people, and I love cyber. So I describe it as the finance industry and all of my people, and getting to just pass on my passion for sales and getting you your goals. That's my car, but cybersecurity is my fuel.
Gotcha. Okay. No, but that's really cool that you kind of have both hand in hand, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Not a lot of people have that opportunity. And, you know, and that's, I think what's hard too, is that there's so many people that have passions that have, certain fuel that
Yes.
ignites them, but
They don't have to be the same.
they don't have to be the same. Cause I do have a lot of passions, and I do have several things that ignite me. It's not just one thing.
Yes.
So that's okay. But if you have several of them, if you could do a job or have a career that at least, delves with one of them, you're really lucky, because unfortunately, I think there's too many people that just have jobs that they just can't stand, and then they're just doing it for a paycheck. And that's really unfortunate, and hear everyone like, if you follow your passion, the money, will come or whatever. And I don't necessarily know if that's true, but I feel like you should have enough interest and likes to where you should be able to find a career or a job that at least does something along those lines that you'll be like happy and like enjoying your job. Like that's what I've been
learning. There's always learning. My dear friend Kit that owns Catwork has taught me so much with this, with his career having so much longevity. Glenn, our CEO, is in 3 days. I think I have had mind melt like 83 times. He's just brilliant in mortgage. And I have this close circle in both worlds that it's like, I love to learn, and surrounding yourself with people who don't treat it as a duty to have to teach you things, and they are fueled with teaching, I think is what has now made me be fueled with teaching the sales aspect and what we're doing on the mortgage side. I'm so lucky. I will be the first one to admit you are correct. I do not have a job. I have 2 places, both, in the same industry, but that just ignite me. So I am the luckiest girl alive when it comes to my career. And I have great people. I have great friends, even though I haven't got to hug you yet.
I know, one of these days.
But it is the fuel of my life. And, I've got my kids raised, and I'm getting to watch them and all of these things. And I think it was harder when they were small, because growing up, we're a massive tourism place, but it's a small beach town off season.
Oh, that's right.
And I remember I was always traveling for my job. And I did take some time off when the boys graduated 8th grade. And I went to a parent meeting, and one of the moms said, we didn't even know the twins had a mom. And I thought,
oh, that hurts.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so I can do one of 2 things, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they do.
You like
atmosphere there. So I made a pact with myself. And from that day on, my pact with myself of the lines I don't cross for work or for personal, I missed 3 soccer games their entire career of high school.
Wow.
And I was flying red eyes, and I was showing up looking like bad. It'd be like side ponytail, and I 4 time zones in 3.5 hours just to get here. But I think we have to have very hard stops for ourselves in life to balance those. And I have great people around me that support that. But my family also knows there's hard stops for them too, that I have to dedicate to other people that I am either talking to or working with or here even in the office. And their time is just as valuable. So they can't come there. I can't. I don't take it into the family time, but they understand that there's very hard stops. And so I have a sign behind me at my home office that says, balance your unbalance. There's no such thing as balance. Anybody that tells you there is, full of it.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to balance that part.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's interesting because, even when I was like spend time with my kids, I even had to kind of hear what they had to say. Cause apparently like I would be so excited to talk to my kids about my work or my job, and they were like, Mom, we don't care. You know what I mean? So then like they had their kind of like limit too of like, hey, we want to hang out with you, but we don't want to hear about your everyday life with your job and whatever. And I'm like,
They
okay,
don't.
all right. This is pure like family time. And so that was great too, because you forget that, you know, you could be with your family and your kids and still talking about work, right? And
like the boys don't care about shrinking margins.
I know. I'm like, guys, I'm so excited this and that. And they're like, Mom, we don't care. And I had to like really listen to them, and it really changed things too. Hey, oh my God, it's Dee. Oh my
gosh. Miss Regina's here too. Hi.
Hello, Regina.
We have like friends over here having a whole discussion.
Yes. No, that's what's so great about this. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's the thing is there has to be hard stops. There has to be boundaries. There has to be kind of that open communication of, all right, you know, this is like my wants and needs, and our kids have needs too. And it's really helped my relationship with my kids, with my friends, just in general, right? Like I never knew where boundaries were. Like I grew up in a household where there were no boundaries really.
Right.
So for me, it took a long time for me to understand. And that's why I am a little bit kind of like concerned moving back home and moving back to my hometown with my parents there, because hey, Regina, you know, like it brings back a lot of like psychologically old stuff. And so I'm glad this is like a reminder, thank you, of like, yes, I still have to vocalize my boundaries, my needs, you know, like just because I'm in the home, you know, with my mom doesn't mean it's like, hey, Mom.
Right. I don't know that anybody's had to tell me not to vocalize like in my life. Usually they're telling me to not vocalize.
You're like,
but there's definitely a softer line now with what I'm vocalizing. And I think it's because we start to learn to listen. There's a whole lot more that will fill up your brain with listening. I don't want to hear myself talk. You know, I want to hear other people's stories. I want to know what your struggles are, and let's talk through it, and let's figure out how to make it not a hard point anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love doing the show, because I'm on the other side. I'm the one that needs to make sure that I'm listening to my guest, you know, listening to what you have to say to carry on the conversation. And so it's a totally different, you know, I don't know the word I'm trying to use, but it's different.
It totally is. And I think it leads to comfortable spaces and how we visualize them, right? Mortgage and finance space is still pretty, you know, heavily male dominated up into the leadership roles. And so you automatically, I fall victim to it, get the shrinking, quiet, I'm just going to sit at the table and see what everybody else says. Well, I used to. Now it's about 2 minutes in. But go to fintech side when we're talking about cybersecurity and finance. There's been like many a day I'm the only girl in the room.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. You know?
Yeah. But I hear all of these struggles that other women are dealing with, and I don't know if I hit the jackpot with my circle. I have the most supportive men in my life, personally and professionally, that were a constant of calm and encouragement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have the same. And speaking of which, I mean, Michael Hammond is, I know he's Michael is that guy to a lot of women. It's like, I know with Delilah, he's a mentor. I know he's a mentor to so many women out there. And so there are these men that really like, because I have some incredible men in my life too, that, you know, have really been there, supportive and uplifting. And Michael is one of those guys. So I love that.
Absolutely, he is.
You know, and that's something that we like, you know, was talking to Josh where, you know, yes, this is Women That Tread and I'm showcasing women, but this is not about bashing men. This is not about like, you know, women only. No, it's about just, you know, having an understanding and realizing that, yes, in the mortgage industry, women, we are the minority, but we are kind of, you know, gaining our space. And so this is just another way to kind of be in that space encourage other women, but this is in no way trying to be like,
listen, I think it's also who you choose. Like everything's a choice. And people say, well, financially, I have to stay in this job. Okay, but that's still a choice.
Right.
And I know that gets me so much backlash, especially when I'm in like when I'm talking to women.
Yeah, and I love how you're like saying it like right at the end of the show where like people get people fired up. No, I'm just kidding.
And here we go. But it's true. Everything we're doing is a choice. Okay, so you're not willing to change any lifestyle or where you are. That's still a choice.
Yeah.
So I've taken step backwards many times because I was not comfortable with the situation. And I just worked my way back. Mm-hmm. It's not fun. I'm not saying it's going to be like, I'm just going to, go be whatever and go through the whole corporate ladder again. But it's a choice. We're making a choice.
Yeah.
So before you make those moves, just sit and think about, is the change going to benefit my overall? Because overall is all that matters.
Yeah. I think too many people see just right in front of them. They're not looking at the big picture and the overall, like you just said. Yeah. But yeah, you look at the overall, like I think that definitely helps for sure. And that's how I do things now too. Yeah, there's a bigger picture here.
And we're so into this buzzword of culture. Yes, certain companies have certain cultures and they can be good, bad, indifferent, but you're kind of bringing your own culture around your team, right?
Right.
Culture can change. This isn't written in a brick somewhere on the building. This is our culture. Yeah. And no, it's people and it's attitude and it's ethic. And all of those things are ebb and flow, correct?
Yeah.
So just put a little more effort into your change of it and people are going to follow that. Yeah. And you see one person get fired up, you're going to see somebody standing next to them get fired up. And all of a sudden, before you know it, there's 15 people in your conference room that are like, let's do this. And it's just the small steps. We don't have to go in and say, this is how we're changing as a corporation. You're going to have mutiny. And they all taking over the pirate ship. So it's small change of attitude or helping each other, which is what life boils down to. This isn't just about work and our industries. It's about everything. I watch, I follow Michael. I know you got to go see him this weekend.
No, I have never. Oh, Michael Rand. So many Michaels.
I've never got to meet him, but I follow him and I can be having the most horrible day, stumble on one of his posts, and I'm like, yep, going back in. And I will go into a room completely different than I had walked out of it 10 minutes before. You have to find those people. Those are your people. Even if you don't know them, those are your people.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to end, to find your people, because we're over the 30-minute mark.
Who would have thought we would have done that?
I know Dal on the back end's always like, all right.